Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, we could really use your help. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named the Two Opinionated podcast one of its top 100 podcasts. This is a monumental feat for this program. We're a father and son team out of a small town in West Virginia, have been doing this for about 5 years. There's 15 million podcasts out there. About 40,000 of those get to the point that they're listed on IMDb. Out of those 40,000 out of the 15 million, we were ranked number 82. Something that we're just immensely proud of. We're so thankful for our listeners, our watchers, our fans. Thank you so, so much. If you would like to help us out, and we're asking for it, please. It's easy. It's really easy. It's free. If you go to IMDb, that's imdb.com, look up Two Opinionated Podcast, and just take a look at the page. That's all you have to do. I mean, you're welcome to look at the cast, look at the episodes so you can kind of see who's been on the program. Do whatever you want. But even just bringing up the page, imdb.com, Two Opinionated Podcast, bring up the page, look at it. That helps us so much. So please, if you can do anything, we would really appreciate that. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Love to have your subscription there. It's also free. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where you'll find almost 700 episodes, audio and video, available on there. There's also a terrific blog from Brett, and it'll let you know anything that we have going on in studio, if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, anything that we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so, so much. We appreciate you so much. I can't express enough how appreciative we are of all of you. We never expected to do as well as we have, and that's all because of you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that interview. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got author Enrica Ferruzzi with me. So welcome, Enrica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's really good to be here. I was looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this one too, because I think the book is so interesting. So I can't wait to talk about it. I should have asked you offline, but where in Italy are you?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm just about an hour north of Rome, but inland a little bit. So it's really nice, small town, quiet.
I was
Not a
supposed
big
to
city.
go. My brother was in Wiesbaden, Germany, and we
Okay.
were going to go visit him and then bounce around Europe. A good friend of ours has a vineyard in Italy, so we were going to hit Italy. We were really looking forward to it. Well, that was 2020 in the summer,
Uh, yeah,
so
yeah.
we didn't get to go.
No
And
good.
now
You
he's
have
back
to.
home.
Oh, what's wrong with him? No, you
So
can still
we're
go.
we're going to replan a trip. We've still got a good friend that is in France. So we're just moving our starting point. So we're just going to
Right.
start in
Yeah,
France and
France.
then bounce around.
Still, wine, cheese,
That's
bread.
right.
It's all.
And then
It's all.
we'll bounce around from there. But
Yeah.
yeah, we're planning that one. But yeah, we planned that trip. So we'd originally planned to go for our 10th wedding anniversary, which was back
Oh,
in
beautiful.
2018.
Hmm.
And my wife got sick. So we didn't go then. We're like, okay, we'll replan. So we replanned for 2020, and then COVID happened.
And then
So
the whole world got sick.
yes, we still haven't got over there, but we will
Yeah,
on
it's
the
good. It'll be special. Yeah.
list. So Enrica, let's start this way. Tell me a little bit about, what got you into writing. Author or writing a book, not real easy. Well, I should take a
Oh,
maybe not real hard to write a book. It's real hard to write a good book that people are going to be interested in.
right, that's for sure. That's why I'm like, it's so interesting, like the amazing, beautiful editor that worked with me was so gracious because she let me keep my voice. You know how sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, you present your work to someone and, you know, I speak and write in a certain way and it is who I am. And yes, there are all these rules on how you're supposed to do things, but I'm like all about breaking the rules, you
Yeah.
know? And so then, but she was so gracious about letting me keep my voice. So it sounds like me when, you know, and then sometimes she would say, you know, I really have to read this first thing in the morning with a cup of coffee. And then I thought, oh no, is that bad? Because of so it's not a bedtime read, but it can be. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, yeah.
Well, I do a lot of my reading first thing in the morning because that's when I'm most alert. So I
Right.
absorb it the best.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm doing in the evening, I'm more of a, watch a TV show or something because it's a little more mindless. I'm winding down. So yeah, my
Sure,
reading
right.
normally in the morning.
Yeah,
So
it
I get that.
depends.
Maybe they're
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're just a morning person.
Right. But so thanks for asking that. It's been, you know, I've been wanting to write for the longest time. I
Yeah.
just never said these words.
Right.
So I never said anything about this, but I would write, you know, here and there. I think what happened, not I think, I know what happened in these last maybe 3 to 5 years have been more transformational for me in a way that um um last year everything just exploded in a way that it was beautifully like this is how I'm going to put it together and there it is and it's in 3 months it was done, so I'm like wow, I don't even know what to say about this except it was just right time for me. And so it is my story, which you
Yeah.
know could be like, oh, what's so special about your story, but you know I do talk about my, you know, being born with two different cultures. My mom was from the States, my dad's Italian, and then, you know, working in the corporate world for 20 years. But then I just decided to change my life completely and then finding ways to help myself with anxiety and you know different things, extreme stress and the loss of my mom and how, you know, just how to be human and be authentic and finding my own way.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, a lot to unpack there.
I know,
Um,
seriously. You
yeah.
asked one little question and I just told you, okay, so
So let's start this way. What was your job in the corporate world?
right. So I worked in hospitality. I
Oh,
started as a front desk person in a hotel just for
yeah.
fun. You know, I liked working with people. And then I didn't realize that I'm like, wow, I really love this. This is like, I'm really good at this. This is great. So, and then, you know, I had great people that kind of directed me, like, you go do this training and this and that.
Right.
And then I basically grew up in this career and I worked in the field in many different properties all over the states and then in Mexico for 7 years, and then worked for corporate headquarters for my company. So it was like stellar. Like I was really loving my job. You know, it's not one of these
Yeah.
stories like, oh, my job, I work
Well,
at
that's
this.
it. It sounded like you actually liked what you did. So
Yeah,
most of the time when you make a change, it's because you don't like what you're doing. So
right.
so what kind of prompted you to make the switch to writing and leave the corporate world?
Right. So I said, you know, I was quite happy. It was a great career, successful, all of that. I had everything, right? But then inside of me, I'm going crazy. Like I have these extreme anxiety episodes, which I speak these words, I say anxiety, but I mean convinced now that wasn't what it was. But you know, I finally went to see a doctor. Like I can't sleep. I haven't slept in 9 months. I think I'm gonna yell at everybody at work. And
Well, yeah,
so
because you're going to
I
get
need help.
irritable. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't sleep, you're just gonna want to strangle people, you know. So, and I worked with people, so that was not good. And so I just had this incredible amount of stress below the surface. So out in the open, everybody was like, yeah, Wonder Woman. I can do, you know, multitasking was like the thing, which
Right.
now we know is probably the worst thing that you could do.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not. And so anyway, so the internally I was going through a lot of conflict. And what happened is I didn't know how to manage.
Right.
Then my mother became ill with cancer, and she was in Italy with my family, of course, and I was in the States at the time in Arizona, and then she passed away within a very short time. So that was had already gone through, like, what do I do with this? What's
Right.
happening? Not knowing, and then all these doctors giving you, pills for sleeping, pills for anxiety, pills
Yeah.
for whatever's wrong with you. I don't know, but let me just like, so then you feel like you're broken, something's happening, and and it affected all aspects of my life. But work was the only thing that that was my pillar. Like, there's
Right.
nothing else that is important in my life except work. And some people that works for them, but for me it worked until it didn't, and I
Right.
realized that's not what that I don't want to live like this. And it was, I think the loss of my mom and going through grief and anger actually first, because why are people having these extreme diseases, and we
Yeah.
still, like, I was angry with them still,
I think a
kind of,
lot of us have went through that
yeah,
the last few
yes,
years.
with loss, right? And then
Yeah.
with COVID too, so like it doesn't have to be this like um terrible disease, but with any disease, like, we go through these injustices in the healthcare system and all that. So
Yeah.
so anyways, and with that though, that kind of drove me to um alternative healing methods, and that was my gateway to another world. So my psychiatrist sent me to mindfulness
Yeah.
to help me with my stress after, years of the medicine's not working.
Right.
And so for me, I mean, for many people it does, but I think it's just, a numbing and band-aid technique, which I'm the first one to say sometimes you need that, because if I
Right.
need to sleep, I need to sleep. But the mindfulness was really, like I say, the gateway or doorway to, discovering the other things that I don't know. They don't teach us this stuff in school, how to
Yeah.
take care of your mind and how to. And so then that changed my whole life. So even though I continued to work in corporate, and practicing and studying, and I like to do my research, and I that's all I wanted to do. Like, how do I just, like, I want to be a monk on a mountain.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with that.
Except my family still thinks like, oh no, something's wrong with her. Like, mid-year crisis. I mean, midlife crisis is lasting, a decade. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's okay. Just
Well,
saying.
so the new book is Beads of Light, a story of alignment. So I know it has to do with all of that, but explain it to me. What's the book about?
Right. So I do take the readers through how I navigated change myself
Yeah.
through the ups and downs. So navigating change and
Most of
what.
us struggle with change.
Yes, absolutely. Like, yeah. And I found that probably for my career, because I had to move several times, that was, that's just part of the nature of the work. But there were times where I seeked extreme change, like move to another country, with the two cats and a dog, like not easy. And and we're not talking about, like, I'm a backpacker and I'll go
Right.
to Malaysia, like with the whole household and a partner. I mean, it's not easy change, but
No.
as an escape. And other times the change was something that I felt, um, this whatever society says this is the formula for success is not working anymore for me. I need something else. And that pushed me to engage in another form, in another change, and it could
Yeah.
have been internal change, like I need to think of this differently, or how do you deal with stress instead of like having this internal conflict? What is that? So I guess more self-reflection, and then like waking up to like different aspects of who we are. So it is quite, spiritual, let's say, not religious in any way, but spiritual journey into like who am I? What's my voice really saying, instead of whose story is it that I'm listening to? It could be mine. I decided this is right for me, but is it really my reality, or am I living like a puppet? I don't want to do that anymore.
Right. Well, and I think a lot of us have those feelings,
Right.
especially those of us that have spent, any amount of time in the corporate world. You do tend to feel like somebody else is pulling the strings, and it's not very pleasant.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, sometimes you experience this, you're you move forward for a greater vision of, like,
Right.
the team, and like this is important work and this is great. And it's very valuable work. Anybody that works for something that is more important, you know
Mhm.
that is valuable work. It doesn't matter what level. But then, for me personally, I found other things to be more important, and it doesn't mean that they're better. Just for
Right.
me. And so this is my experience of, I choose to live in a certain way. I choose to create something for myself because it makes me happier. And so then the practices of taking care of my mind in many different ways, because then I learned practices such as tai chi or qigong or
Yeah.
East Asian practices, that for me that's the only thing that mattered. Like, and if you say this to, some viewers might be like, oh my, but maybe they'll understand. But if you say to someone like, I don't need my 4-story townhome and the car and the big salary. I'm just
Right.
gonna, teach in the studio and practice this and teach people these tools. And most people would be like, "Are you insane? What is wrong with you?" Right? But I was like, "Yes, this is gonna be great." And I'm certainly not a naive person. I'm just optimistic. Like, I can do it. I will
Yeah.
do it. And I did it. And so, um,
Good for
um,
you. I mean, I completely understand that. When I let family and friends know that I was going to podcast instead of working at my job, I got the same type of thing. Like, are you nuts?
right, yeah. And it's okay, because it's like, are you sure? I mean, there's a level of, like, they care for us, and
That's
there's,
right.
of
They're just
course,
looking out for us.
yeah, yeah, totally. But then it's like, oh no, this is my choice. Like, I mean, well, it's okay. Everybody's gonna have an opinion, and we're human, so that's what we we
Yeah.
we
I mean,
do.
if you're not happy though, does it really matter that you've got money and things? I don't think it
Right.
does. The important thing is, how are you? Are you happy with what you're doing or how you're living your life? And if you're not, then you should make a change.
Right. And then for a lot of people, the change, what I'm saying, and a lot of things that I describe in the book, besides also some practices that have been very impactful for me, which
Yeah,
are, if, for example, movement. A lot of times, for example, if one says, meditation is a life changer, right? People should
right.
meditate. Okay, we all know that, because everybody is, we have research that says it's
Sure.
good for
Yeah.
your brain, for your physiology. So, but, most people have a difficult time sitting there quietly, and so,
It's
and
tough to
that was
do
for
for
me.
more than a minute or two, for
Well,
sure.
certainly. And then so that was what happened for me. I was hyperactive, like,
Yeah.
like, as you can see, can you imagine? Like, I was like way faster in speaking and walking, and and so movement is what did it for me, to be able to focus now in the present, and kind of rest my brain. And so there's a lot of practices out there to help with that, so when people think of, like, of the word mindfulness, unless you've experienced it, they just think, oh, it's just meditation, I can't do that. But
Right.
also in meditation, there's so many ways to meditate, right? You can be sitting, we're chatting, and we're paying attention to the right now, and brushing your teeth, whatever. So there's so many resources out there. And so for me, like, I do share what has worked for me during extremely difficult times. But what I wanted to come back to is, change is very natural, and if we all have to go through change, because we change constantly all the time.
Right.
But more than anything, forget the big changes. One doesn't need to like change their career or, leave a country or whatever. But we internally, the change needs to occur, but we tend to kind of like not listen to
Right.
ourselves and like really what we really want, even if we think like it's totally out there, nobody's going to support us, that's just chatter, right? That we can control.
That's
And
right.
so when we can really tune in to like, what is it that I really want? And then first of all, like, who is talking? Like, we need to determine who's talking, like our thoughts, like who is talking in there? Is this like, it's like a bad commercial that's running, like you're not good enough, all this
Right.
trauma that we have since we're kids, when people say, this is what happened to me when I was a child, like, okay, right. But everybody has,
Everybody
that,
does.
the backpack of, the heaviness of.
Yes. Yeah. We all carry around something.
Hmm.
That's just the truth. And a lot of times it's just fear keeping us from actually making positive changes for ourselves because we're afraid to give up what we have for something different. And
Right.
a lot of times it'll work out, but we're too scared to actually take the steps. So I think it's inspirational that you have been able to do that, and you can be the example of someone that has made a big change, but it's been a positive one, even though you had to
Yes.
give up some stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, lots of giving up, but also lots of like, trust in myself
Yeah.
first, And so that's this when you said, a lot of most people struggle, and I see, all the time is with the, fear, but doubt and
Yeah.
mistrust of your own true voice. So when you feel like, no, this is right for me, we automatically have this other thought that is like, oh no, but nobody cares,
Right.
or whatever, something else. And I mean, I do it too sometimes, but now I catch myself, and I talk like a dear friend. I talk to myself like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said this about myself. Like if you were had your like your dearest friend or your spouse, and if they're having a difficult time, you would be like super understanding and like,
That's
oh
right.
no, let's work this out. But if it's ourselves, we're like so terrible with, no, that's stupid, I can't believe you just said that, all this
Yeah,
self-talk
we
that
beat
it's.
ourselves up.
Yeah, seriously. And it's like, is that even necessary? So when that happens, I think we need to really question, like, and that's part of meditation is like, oh wow, look, I'm doing this again, like this is
Yeah.
interesting, it's like on repeat, it's like it's not, it doesn't even know that it's doing that, like we need to catch ourselves doing that.
Yeah, I love that because I struggle with that. I have a ton of self-doubt, and it's difficult for me to. I'm an introvert, so it's difficult for me to get out of that and push myself. But when I do, when I take that step or make put myself into a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, 9 times out of 10 it works out for the best.
Right. Yeah.
It's just difficult to make yourself do that because you get comfortable. Why
Right.
should I risk anything? Yet this isn't perfect, but I'm comfortable.
Hmm.
And a lot of times that's not a great situation. You don't want to just, if you're not happy, being comfortable is not enough.
Right, right. Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah. There's so many times, I've always been a leader, like in my positions, and then shortly after, like someone had to say, no, you were in charge, or you train all these people. Okay, great. And even when I started my training, in Sando Qigong, so it's energy cultivation practices,
Yeah,
I soon started training to become an instructor because I just enjoy. That's what I do. I learned something and I got to teach someone else to do it,
yeah,
or like my experience. But what I'm getting at is, I am too an introvert, so I prefer, like there was a time in my life where, especially the transition, it's like 20 years, I just resigned, I need a vacation, I want to do nothing with talking to people, I want to be in the back of the bus, not talk to anyone, and everybody leave me alone, like
yeah,
it was a difficult decision to go like, That's it. I am free. I like, what does this mean? And so then I'm like, I do not want to be in charge. I want people to tell me what to do. And that lasted like 3 minutes, you know. So
Yeah.
after a short time of, and I was in Korea then. So after this transition of like, very beautiful break, like everything was so different. You're reading the signs, you can't understand anything, even though, I had to use technology. I'm like, I think it says bathroom, but I'm not sure. So beautiful, but such a different world to break, like the mind from that. And then I came back, and of course, I had to be in charge again, which was fine. But that is my nature, But there are times where I'm like, no, that's it. I just want to be in the cave and just leave me alone.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then it's needed.
I spent 20 years running call centers, and I realized that having people work for me wasn't really what I wanted to do. I didn't like telling people what to do. I didn't really enjoy that. So I switched over to hospitals where I was only responsible for myself. I was just talking with patients and kind of spending my day policing myself. And that was great, but it still wasn't quite what I was looking for with that. So I took that step to just do podcasting full time, and it's been terrific because it allows me to have a little bit of control, but I'm not responsible for anybody else, which I
Right.
love. And it
Yeah.
gives me the opportunity to talk to people in kind of a safe space for me because I'm an introvert, but I can talk here on the podcast. I'm comfortable,
Sure.
and I
Yeah.
enjoy it. And then, afterwards, I have that sense of accomplishment because I actually got through it.
Yeah.
So,
That's
I
beautiful.
totally see that. You got to find your space, and
Right.
then kind of, but it's not always a straight line. Life
No,
kind of
right.
takes you on a jagged path until you find your spot.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so great. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know that
Yeah.
part. But the the path being like one straight line that you can see at the end is
Yeah. It just doesn't happen that
it
way very
doesn't
often.
it doesn't exist. So actually when it's like, oh, ups and downs or whatever, it's probably better for, because it means we're learning more,
Well,
I
that's right.
think.
It's teaching you along the
Yeah.
way so that whenever you get to your destination, you can deal with it.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I
totally
wanted to
agree.
ask you about what it meant to retrieve lost pieces of your essence.
Nice questions. Yes. Yeah, so this is refers to the title, Beads of Light. So I do when I guide the people, individuals or in group when we have sessions, through visualization practices, I use these expressions all the time, like beads
Yeah.
of light. So pulling in like particles of light, if you can think of like visualize in your mind, like little lanterns coming back, or little like what are those called? The bugs and the light
Oh, the
bugs. I don't
lightning
know.
bug.
Lightning bugs. Yeah, I'm like, translation Italian. I don't know. So the little bugs, they're coming back to you. So the the this concept came about because in visualizations through internal and external um, energy healing practices, visualizing parts of you in this way, like
Right.
beads of light or whatever, balls of like spheres of light coming back in towards you, like if you're the magnet and you pull it back
Yeah.
in, and you don't need to know what it is. So these are parts of you that have been, they're scattered or lost,
Yeah.
and it could be because of something that caused um, some hurt or sadness, anger, whatever, or a loss, or it could be the opposite. So any extreme emotion will cause our energy. So we're talking, more invisible world, the energy body to kind of break up a little bit. So when you hear people say, I'm so exhausted all the time, we
Yeah.
get so busy because maybe we're busy mentally and we're doing a lot of things, but we lose a lot of energy. And it doesn't have to be like this traumatic event that of course took parts of my heart, right?
Right.
It could be just in general, being overly tired because you had a long busy week at work, or you're worried about something, or
Right.
you can't sleep very well. So basically we deplete our energy, which is light. So we know now, because we have things to measure the photons that that we emit through our cells. And so the essence is your energy pieces, let's say, coming
Yeah.
back to you. And in that sense, we feel, even if it's just emotionally or even if it's just intellectually, as in you're just visualizing it, becoming a little bit more full. And then that allows us to handle changes, internally, external changes, a little bit better. And then when we can do this regularly, as as a easy visualization practice, it could be part of like a 5-minute thing you do in the morning while you're having your
Right.
coffee, or it could be at night before you go to bed. It could be throughout the day, through whatever your yoga session, if one practices Indian yoga. So, but the beauty of visualizing you coming back to you, so these beads of light, it actually allows us to be able to embrace more. So the waves of changes and whatever we're seeing in the world is like over the top sometimes,
Yeah.
besides what happens in our own little world, let's say our family, our community. So there's a lot happening. And so when we can be a little bit more whole, more stable, and we may not notice right away, but sometimes people can tell um that they feel a little bit more stable. That is a word that is often used, more
Yeah.
stable, more grounded.
It seems like it would be something that would be very useful, say, if you're coming out of a bad relationship. A
Absolutely.
lot of times if you're in a relationship and it's not the healthiest for you, you can lose yourself a little bit. We've all
Hmm.
kind of been through that at different points, and you come out of the relationship, and then you have to, you're trying to rediscover yourself a little bit
Sure.
because you've kind of, lost a little bit of that. Is this a technique that would help with that? Kind of bringing you back to your
100%.
true self. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And so this is very helpful, especially in situations where you are severed from a relationship, whether it
Right.
was good or bad for you. It doesn't matter, because we inevitably uh, are attached to things and people and situations,
Sure.
and so that's true. And uh, the the healing on many levels occurs when we are more of our essence. And so it doesn't matter if there's nothing to believe in here. It's like, it's not like, oh, it's so woo woo woo. It's so funny for me to say those words, but it's true. Some people are like, no, I don't believe in that, but there's nothing to believe. We actually have science that shows us, like, we can, I can leave this chair after we're finished and there'll still be a glow of light, and there's a
Right.
machine that can show like your electromagnetic field. So what I'm saying is, I've seen this with a machine where it can measure your, I have one, the electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
When someone is happy or joyful, and whatever, truly genuinely joyful, their electromagnetic field is bright, it's glowy, it's like it's full, and there's all these fun colors, and colors, whatever, it doesn't matter, it
Well,
means
and you
many
can
things.
see that in other people.
Yes, you can see it like just in their face, right? You don't need
Yeah.
to have like these esoteric tools, but
Right.
you can see when someone like comes to your house, and you, maybe they are showing you a nice face, right? But you can sense something's going on. So that means their light is kind of dim, and they
Yeah.
may show like this, but they may be very shrunk inside. So this is yeah, everyone needs more of themselves inside themselves, because then we can navigate the relationships better,
Right.
and like situations, and be more balanced human beings.
Yeah. Well, and you can see it when someone's happy. You know, they're good with where they're comfortable with themselves. You can totally see that. You know, a lot of times we'll say pregnant woman is glowing with that.
Yes,
And it's
right.
because a lot of times they are. They're happy, they're content, they're getting what they want, and you can see that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So is it a difficult practice? You know, if if I'm trying to collect pieces of myself that I've lost or that have come loose at some point, is it a difficult process to get those back, or is it just a matter of taking the time to do it?
Right, a good question. So, a few things. First of all, it's easy because it's a very natural, it's a natural healing process that our physical body actually does without us even knowing. It's so wise, we just get in the way. But we are not taught the different techniques to do this, which is using your visualization power. And it's not like, oh, this is a gift for like special people. We all know how to use our intuition, which is visualization. You can think, you can, with your eyes open, think of what you had for breakfast this morning, and that's visualization. So if you can visualize the sunset last night or something, you can visualize yourself sitting or standing in a beautiful place in nature, and then just pulling in parts of you, which could be, an animal, it could be a lantern of light, a glowing
Right.
sparkle, it could be the sunset, whatever you want. So the practice itself is not difficult by all means. The the um, I think the more important part is, in order to be still inside, so to practice forms of mindfulness to help us kind of be quiet inside and
Yeah.
calm, so
Oh,
things
yeah.
that would occur before, right? And then sometimes it's helpful, like I'll guide people through some movements. So these are very ancient qigong practices, such as shaking your body or tapping the body. The
Yeah.
tapping is very popular. I see it all the time. We've seen it a lot on many
I think the
resources.
tapping does help because it's kind of just
Yeah,
a physical manifestation of
it's
it. But
physical,
but we
right?
we all do that a little bit, you know, as a way to kind of
Yes.
calm ourselves down or something. You know,
Yeah,
you pat
totally.
yourself or something.
Yeah, when you have a knot on your shoulder, you will rub
Mhm.
it really strongly or something,
Yeah.
and then maybe tap it. So the tapping, so these things are like to actually bring your awareness back into your body, right? So like, instead of being so busy up here because I'm so
Right.
worried or thinking or whatever or tired, then to focus on the body, anything to help you focus on right now, and the body's always now, not tomorrow
Right.
or yesterday,
Right.
is now, because the heart's beating, the breath. And so those things can help us kind of lower brain waves, nervous system calibration, regulate. Then, take a few moments, or as long as one wants to, can need or has time for, to visualize literally like you're the magnet and pulling in.
Right.
And it becomes very interesting, because if one person enjoys um, being in the moment and trusting the visual images that you receive, these are all beautiful messages. And so I do like to describe a lot of um, my experiences and what
Mhm.
has worked for me, which have helped me move through a lot of situations, good, bad, and ugly, through visualization. So basically, our subconscious mind speaks to us through symbols and dreams, and it just presents you with information that is meaningful for you. It's your language. But we are like, oh, that's interesting. I had this dream about this. I don't know about that. It's so stupid. But in reality, it's like, oh, that was so great. Maybe it's a symbol for you.
Right.
Like, what does it mean for you? I do that with people all the time. They'll tell me, there's no interpretation of dreams, because I think it's incomplete.
Right.
People they need to ask themselves, like, I wonder what that means for me. But sometimes I'll be like, wow, that is so cool that you had that dream, and they're like, really, that was so disturbing. I'm like, no, I think it's great.
Yeah. Well,
Encouraging.
yeah, because a lot of times it's your subconscious just trying to tell you something, you know, and but we just tend to ignore it. You know, you wake up and you're like, oh, that was weird, and you don't even think about it with that. And
Right.
yeah, there's probably stuff there that if we took the time to actually dive into it, we'd learn some stuff about ourselves.
Yes, right. Yes, so really this is what the main message is. Okay, so there's a lot happening on the external world, but there's a lot more in the internal world, and so how to become more comfortable with the invisible,
Right.
the unknown, getting comfortable, getting to know ourselves more, and what does that mean?
Yeah. What do you want someone to get out of reading this book?
Mm, great question. Yes. Um, my biggest desire in sharing is for people to be inspired by themselves, by their own story, for them to think about all the stages in their life. It doesn't matter how old one is, and to see what was it that I picked up here, that I lost
Right.
here, that I came back and went and retrieved here, and like how amazing is this journey, and to be in awe of everyone's story, even the most, whatever one says, I'm cursed. No, there's no such thing. So, I
It
heard
does
that
feel
before.
like
I
that
am just
sometimes.
cursed. I'm like, I don't think so. I think like you pretty much chose this. So let's like step into it and then take charge. So that means, purification of your thoughts pattern, because we
Right.
tend to we tend to create we're routine, habitual beings. So we tend to think in this circle, and it's the only circle. It's like, no, no, this idea, no, I don't think so. Off the circle. So
Yeah.
but once we catch it, once we realize like, oh wow, look at that. I have a habit of thinking this way or of doing this. That's kind of crazy. I'll do it again now, but at least I'm aware. And okay, great. At least you're aware. It's kind of like, some habits that people are like, oh no, so bad. Yeah, but just as long as you're aware, and then have your pack of chips or whatever.
Well, that's
Enjoy
right.
it.
Yeah, because you can moderate it. You're in charge.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, Enrica, it's so fascinating. I think I could talk to you about this all day.
Yeah.
But I love the message that you're trying to get across, because you're really trying to help people get in touch with their true self, find their own voice. And I think that's so admirable. It's just terrific. So
Thank you.
Beads of Light, a story of alignment. Where can someone purchase this if they want to learn more?
Right, thank you. So it's available on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles
Mhm.
now in the States, and then in Europe and the rest of the world, in Asia too, March 20th, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I don't know
Yeah,
why
that's
in the
coming up
States
fast.
coming up now. So yeah, and then on my website too, Cosmic Ocean Frequencies. So
I know, I
that's
love that name. That's
thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's a
because
very
a
kind of
lot of
long, but
a lot of us have an affinity with the ocean. You
yes.
even if you don't live near it, when you get near it, you kind of have that calm feeling. Like, oh, I found my place, that type of thing. Even if we never get out, and do anything in the water, just being near the
Mhm.
water is kind of
Right.
calming. It makes you introspective.
Yes, it's beautiful. Right. Definitely.
Yeah. So, Enrica, last thing well, let me ask you this before I ask you that last question. Um, do you intend to write more books about this subject?
Yes, definitely. That's yeah, my path. I'm working on a few other
I figured you
projects,
were.
like idea. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like the vault is open, and now it's, like I've been in a cave for, yeah,
Yeah. Now
38
you're just
years.
getting it out, which
Right.
it's difficult enough actually sitting down and doing it, but making that decision to sit down and do it, sometimes that's even harder.
Yes, right. No,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's, yeah. But then when it happens, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't do this 10 years ago.
Right.
But
And then you're like,
it wouldn't have been the same. So it's okay. It's
well,
all
yeah, you
good.
have to be in that right mindset. Sometimes you gotta hit the bottom, so to speak, to
Hmm.
to improve from there. Some years ago you may not have been ready to do it.
Hmm. Yes, right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So last thing, Enrica, before we go, where can we find you on social media? And go ahead and give us the website again too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so it's cosmicoceanfrequencies.com, and I am on Instagram under at Cosmic Ocean Frequencies, and then some Facebook. No, a little bit but yeah, I don't know. I'm a little conflicted. Instagram a little bit more.
Instagram's the best one.
Yeah, I
I
think
think it
so.
is. It's just
Hmm.
nice. It's kind of what Facebook was briefly when it first started.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right. Yeah, I don't know.
It's just
I'm
it's a place to connect with people and to share things that we love, and it's mostly positive.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
more community feel, I
that's it.
guess.
That's it. Well, Enrique, you have to come back when you get the next project ready. Come back and tell us about it.
Thank you. Yes, I would love to. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I can't wait to read it. So we've ordered our copy. So we're
Awesome. Thank you.
anxiously awaiting, because I think every one of us can use a little bit more mindfulness and a little effort in working on ourselves, kind of taking care of ourselves. A lot of times we don't do that. We're there for everybody else, but
Right.
the most important person is probably yourself, and we tend to ignore that.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Well
Yeah. Okay.
said.
Enrique, hold on one second. Enrica Ferruzzi. Hope you enjoyed that. If you're struggling, you feel like you're stuck, or you're maybe not quite where you need to be, um, check out Beads of Light. I think it could really help you. I wish that she had written it 5 years ago. I think I could have used it. We're still going to read it. I know it'll be helpful. I definitely, when we were first starting the podcast, we could have used that just as a way to kind of reinforce the positiveness of what we were trying to do, if that makes sense. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again with us this week. We definitely don't take you for granted. So happy that you're here. Love to have your support. If you're a watcher, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. That helps us so much. If you're a listener, just subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast at. That'll help us as well. Today, we're putting out episode 742. We tend to put out about 4 episodes a week, give or take an episode. So we pile up pretty quick. We're pretty high volume. I would put our guest list up against any other show out there. I think our guest is what makes the show. You're definitely not coming in to see me, but we've got a hell of a guest list. So I know that's why you're here, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy to be a passenger with you. Our website's meistercon.com. You can find all of those episodes, audio and video. If you'd like to know what we have going on, if we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, anything that we're doing will be on the website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Two Opinionated podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel, and we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. Not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. Those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and just look around the page. Just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.